We made our first $1 million at 22 years old. We just had a client hit 130K a month. Another one hit 150K a month. A 17-year-old make like his first $5,000 per month online. People in my family were like, you're wasting your time. You're going down the wrong path. Nobody's gonna wanna work with you. You're just a kid. You don't know anything.
What's it kind of like being a diehard Muslim, being business partners and roommates with a diehard Christian?
And then he showed me the roadmap of everything and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
I think I was burnt out back in March.
I was managing a relationship while making 100K a month.
That's
my biggest fear. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Founders Club podcast. You guys have been asking for it. The day is finally here. We honestly should have started this about a few years ago, but today is the day. We've got a sick episode planned, the first of many. So with that being said, my name is Ibrahim Ansari, and I'm joined here by my business partner of 5 years now, Renzo Guevara. Now, if you don't know anything about us, we started our first company in 2020, Growthology Agency. That's how we made our first $1 million online. And then we launched the Founders Club group about 2 years ago in 2023. That group now has 55,000 members, soon to be 100K. And about a year ago, we launched dropservice.io. That's our tech company. And we've also hit 6 figures in that business as well every single month. Now, with that being said, Renzo, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Renzo, and bro, if you think about it, we're like a old married couple. We've been together for, not together like that, but business partners for 5 years. I feel like most people we talk to in Chicago, Miami, all over the place, their business partners fall off after a year or two. And
that's the crazy thing, man. So a lot of people that start businesses together, at least from who I've talked to, those relationships or business partnerships never last. We've been fortunate enough to have a strong business partnership for about 5-6 years now. We've been friends and now we live together. So yeah, I guess old married couple isn't a bad description. But with that being said, a lot of people ask us how we got started with everything. So that's kind of how I want to kick things off. Back to the good old days, the trenches back in 2019, 2020. Renzo, I'll go ahead and have you share your story first.
Yeah, for sure. So I started actually as a good ass student. So I feel like most people, say they were dumb kids in high school and college, but I was a really good student. I was top 10 GPA in high school. It's just in college, I took a class called Intro Psychology. Let's just say, long story short, got a D+, thought my life was over. And then I started going down the YouTube rabbit hole of all these people looking rich online. I'm like, I want to be one of them. So I came across a video on how to start an SMMA, where you basically just run ads for local businesses as a marketing agency. And so I tried it for a year, didn't work, and I was like, okay, I need to actually invest in myself. So I bought this course on how to do it through Instagram. And let's just say after I bought that, made 10K a month my first month and started seeing success. And we'll get into your story in a bit, but we actually bought the same course. We were the top guys in the course. Everybody else in the Facebook group back in the day was kind of weird, kind of lame. And, we just got connected and now we're here.
Yeah. So for me, a little bit different. Obviously, we got started in the same program, kind of. That's how we became friends and now business partners. But when I first got started, I was pursuing medicine. So my parents were forcing me to go to school to be a doctor. And I was just there's no way I want to be in school for another 10, 15 years and then finally make money. And I just could not bear any of the classes. So I was taking all these classes like chemistry, biology, calculus, and all these super hard classes. And the crazy thing is, don't get me wrong, I'm a super smart kid when I'm applying myself to something I like. But in school, I just absolutely hated it. And I was like, this isn't for me. So believe it or not, I actually failed bio, I failed chem, and I failed calc. And my parents were still pushing me, you gotta be a doctor. That's the only way you're gonna see success. That's the only way you're gonna make money. And I was like, no, there are way better options out there. So I actually switched my major without even telling my family. And that's when I actually ended up buying that program that me and Renzo met in. And that's also how I started making money. It was through basically just outsourcing services and closing deals for other businesses. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. And it was a really challenging time for me because, like I said, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about marketing, and I was just a kid. And at the time, everybody was telling me, at least the people I told that I was starting a company, they were like, why would anybody want to listen to you? Why would anybody want to work with you? There are $1 million marketing agencies out there. And had we listened to them at that time, we wouldn't be anywhere. But now we're the ones with the multi-million-dollar marketing agency and the multi-million-dollar tech company that other people use to grow their own agencies. So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with friends? Because I know a lot of people that start companies, especially at a young age, 19 or 20 like we did, they kind of go through all these problems with family, friends. How was your experience?
Yeah, for sure. So before we were business partners, we were actually killing it separately, right? I was making 10K a month targeting gyms. You're making 10K a month running ads for real estate agents. So we kind of just like built up the value of ourselves first before even like trying to make connections or like hang out with other entrepreneur friends. And then eventually, once we actually started making money, we didn't know each other before, but we knew of a similar person. And that guy made a group chat with me, you, this other kid, and we were all making like 10, 20, even 50K a month. We weren't partners back then, but we always just like hung out, FaceTimed every night, telling each other all the secrets, all the sauce. And eventually we were like, dude, we talk so much, like why don't we actually partner up? So that's when we partnered. And in terms of like entrepreneur friends now, I think it's just like, I hate to say it, but it is low-key a status game. Like if you're not up to par with everybody else, nobody's gonna want to be your friend. So I think we've done a good job of actually building up the value of ourselves and our brands to the point where any entrepreneur we meet in Chicago are gonna be like, damn, like I wanna be friends with this kid too.
100%. And back to college, obviously like throughout my college career, I studied marketing. Renzo was a little different. What'd you study?
Computer science back in the day.
Yes, major. Renzo was kind of a nerd.
Marketing was a complete scam, but we'll go over this in a little bit. But yeah, we're like complete opposites in how we got started.
Yeah, but when I was in school, I realized that I wasn't going to be successful if I just stayed in school, went through the conventional path all 4 years, and just got a 9-to-5 corporate job like everybody else. And everyone was telling me that's the only way you're going to be successful. That's the only way you're going to make money. But those same people that were telling me that weren't living the ideal or dream life that I wanted to live. And I'm so glad that I didn't listen to them, because if I did, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And did you have like a similar experience?
Yeah, I would say for college, I already knew that business, marketing, or anything I learned in college is only going to help me with the job. And I always knew like I wasn't going to be the guy that would just work a 9-to-5 for like 30 to 50 years of my life before I retire. So long story short, I landed a Microsoft internship. And after I got that, I was like, I'm chilling with school. School doesn't matter. I'm already set for life with a job offer. I might as well try to make my way out and try to start a business so that I could eventually quit the rat race and not have to work a 9-to-5. So I think a pretty similar story, like we knew we were destined for more.
The other thing is that a lot of people in school, at least, they think that they don't have time. Even this morning, like I had a call with somebody and they were like, oh, I'm still in school. It's taking about like 3 to 4 hours every single day. And I've got a lot of tests, exams, homework. But like I said, it's 4 to 5 hours a day maybe. And they're like, I don't know if I'll have enough time to start an agency or start a business. When I was starting off, I had 3 jobs. I was working retail, I was working at a coffee shop, and I was even driving DoorDash.
Damn.
And that's kind of how I stacked up my bread. And even on top of that, I was managing school, managing all my exams, managing all my seminars, and running a business at the same time. So for anyone that's listening right now, it's more than doable. It's more so just about how much time you allocate towards it. So when I first started, I was spending around like 12 to 14 hours minimum working on the business. Obviously now it's a little bit different with all the systems, all the team members. At first, that's kind of how the grind was. Was it kind of similar for you?
Yeah, for me, computer science is really freaking hard in college. And even interning at Microsoft, I was grinding like 8 to 12 hours a day, like eyes glued on my screen. So I actually just had like my broke friends at the time who were super smart, super ambitious. They just didn't have like good jobs back then. I had them do all the work for me in terms of like reaching out to business owners and selling them. And then because I was a business owner and I knew more than them, I just paid them 10% commission, and then I got to keep the rest as profit without having to do much.
And that reminds me, I remember back when I was in college, I think I was like a sophomore or junior. I was still grinding everything, but I had to take a CS class, and I don't know anything about computer science. So since everything was online, I didn't actually have to go in. All my homework was done online. All my tests were done online. So every single exam I had, I would call my boy Renzo, and he would clutch everything up for me. And he's the only reason why I passed that class. If it wasn't for Renzo, I probably would have failed that class terribly too.
Crazy. Dude, isn't it crazy? That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane. And time honestly flies. Wow. Since then, with Growthology Agency, we've made multiple millions of dollars. Started that software company, and obviously we've lived here for about 3 years now. Let's talk a little bit about the lifestyle and how things have changed since moving in Chicago.
I think it's just like a different level of respect. I remember back in college, people would see what I was doing. Yeah, I had like a couple thousand, or not even a couple, like tens of thousands of followers back then. But people didn't really understood what I did. They kind of saw I was making money, but it wasn't until we really moved to Chicago, everybody was like, damn, like they're actually doing big things. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like all our friends are just friends with us just because like we have a good brand or making money, but it's just like a different level of connections you make once you're already up there with everybody else online.
What would you say the biggest lesson you learned once you moved to the city?
Well, the first thing was, okay, at the time, I don't know if we could say this, but Ibby was cuffed at the time when we moved to Chicago. I was single as hell, like fresh off a breakup. So I basically moved here to Chicago with no friends. Like all my college friends at the time, they moved to New York, LA, Seattle, stayed back in Virginia. And I was like, damn, okay, we got this nice ass crib now, but I got like nobody to share with. So that really taught me like, it's not just about having the materialistic possessions. Like yes, having a cool crib or watches or cars are cool, but it's also about like, what type of relationships do you have around you that you could share those experiences with? So I would say like, that's what I optimize the most now is like having really cool friends and doing really cool shit together.
That's very true. I would say for me, the biggest thing that I learned when I moved to Chicago is that it's very easy for us to make money, but it's very hard for people to keep it. So just to give you guys an example, right when we moved here, we dropped around like 30 grand on furniture, furnishing this entire place with all this stupid furniture that we don't even know the name of. Like you can't see it because it's not in frame, but we have a massage chair on the right. We bought a bunch of random stuff for the crib, bunch of designer stuff without thinking twice about it. We were just blowing through money. We were going out every single weekend. We were traveling to crazy places just because we could. But then, like, obviously, you got to make sure that you're still working hard to maintain that lifestyle. So being a young kid, I think a lot of people go through this. You, like, buy all the designer furniture. Like, I've got a $40,000 watch on my wrist right now. I had a Rolex. I still do. But I was, like, just buying all this stuff at once. It catches up to you if you're not really thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah. I remember our first accounting call when we first moved to Chicago. I think we saw a video of this. Our account was like, you spent how much on Chipotle, on Uber Eats? Like, just go frickin' walk to Chipotle or go outside. It's good for you. So I agree. And that was actually my first 1 million view video on Instagram. It's like 10K a month is actually like the sweet spot where like you're literally chilling. You don't have any expenses. You don't have a huge team. You're literally making just 10K a month profit because you're still doing most of the work. But now at our point, like at 100K a month, trying to scale to $1 million a month, like we have so much payroll, so many team members.
Yeah, payroll literally just hit this morning. We just saw tens of thousands of dollars leave our account. We're like, damn, we make a bunch of money, but that money leaves your account like that. And you just got to be aware. And obviously, you have a good accounting team. You got to be financially literate. And these are all things that you learn as you grow. So like, obviously, when we first started, people always ask me like, how do you know all this stuff? Yeah. I didn't know anything when I first started. It was just trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. I messed up so many times, and that's why I'm successful. Same with you. Like, we just went through so much trial and error and then got to a point where we're like, all right, we made this mistake once. Now we know not to do it again.
Yeah. And there's like this pressure to always show up every day and perform. Like, yes, we have personal money, but we never really put our personal money back into the business because, yeah, why not? Like, why would we do that? So, you know, when we do take out a bunch of money from the business account to pay ourselves, now we kind of have to start over and we still have payroll, we still have systems and automation. So pretty much every month we're forced to like really show up. And I remember a couple times our backs were against the wall, but you know, every time we were in a tough situation, we would always just like text each other or call each other like, yo, we're gonna
make it through, bro. We're gonna make it through.
We've always had 100% success rate. So
yeah,
I would just say like, as you scale, it's gonna be harder and there's gonna be a lot of pressure, but it's kind of like your problems 5-6 years ago. Like, if you look at those problems now, they don't mean anything. They literally feel like light work. And so the problems you have as you scale, it's going to be light work in the future. So I just think, like, as we keep trying to go to the next level, it's going to get harder and harder, but we'll get used to it.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's like a muscle. You're just building up your stress tolerance. So every time you go through something stressful or a massive problem or a huge headache, whether it's with your clients, with the team member, with anybody else, you're like building up that stress muscle and your stress tolerance just increases like crazy. So kind of like what Renzo said, all these big problems, they kind of become like very minuscule as you get older and as time goes on. But let's bring it back to starting out in entrepreneurship and how your friends kind of perceived that or how they were receptive towards everything. So obviously when you start something new, you want to tell your best friend, you want to tell your family. For me, I didn't really get the feedback that I wanted because obviously like I'm starting something from scratch. I had nobody in my corner. All I wanted was for somebody to believe in me and be like, hey, I know you can do this. You're extremely smart. You can be extremely successful in whatever venture you decide to take. And when I first started, I was met with the complete opposite. One of my best friends told me like, nobody's gonna wanna work with you. You're just a kid. You don't know anything. People in my family were like, you're wasting your time. You're going down the wrong path. And it really sucks to go through that. Before I get into like anything more, how did your family or friends feel about it?
Yeah, so we had similar stories about friends. So we were both in fraternities. We didn't go to the same college. He went to Michigan State. I went to University of Virginia. And let's just say both of our frat bros at the time were not too happy with us trying to do big things. Like I remember all my frat bros started commenting on my pictures and videos like, yo, this is like a pyramid scheme, or like, this is cringe, what are you doing? And even like some of my like best friends back in college, like they were talking behind my back. My girlfriend at the time wasn't supportive, so pretty much nobody in my circle believed in me. And all these online friends I had, I remember my in-person friends were like, oh, like what do your online friends say? Like, oh, just go talk to your online friends. I'm like, damn, like I'm not like this Discord kid, just playing video games with people. So nobody believed in me, but I just knew that eventually when I did make it, that the tables would turn, and these same people hating on me would eventually ask me for help or ask me for a job. And guess what? Now, like 5 years later, same people, some of them ask me like, yo, like, how do I start my journey to get to where you're at? I don't know if you remember me. And so now I just knew like I was gonna make it, even if people didn't believe in me back then.
Yeah, same thing for me. So obviously first starting out, I literally have screenshots of people texting me just like complete bullshit or just shitting on my goals and my dreams. And it's funny because just about like a year ago, 6 months ago, those same people that were sitting on me 4 or 5 years ago are the same exact people asking me like, yo, I love what you're doing. I've been following your journey from the start, and I'd love for you to teach me how to do exactly what you did. Or I'm starting a company, I'd love for you to market for my business. It's just funny how things go full circle. And the reason why I brought this up is because it's normal. So like, if you're watching this video right now, you're watching this podcast, the same thing's probably gonna happen to you because people aren't gonna see the vision. You gotta realize that most people that you talk to, they have such a small-minded brain and they're extremely average thinkers. Nobody really thinks outside of the box. Like, it's kind of like this picture that always pops in my head. Everybody's taking the same path. Everybody just goes to college for 4 years, they bury themselves in debt, and then they get like a car that they finance they can barely afford. They take out a mortgage on a house, they're in debt till they're like 70. And then once they're 70, their life's practically over, and that's when they're like financially free or break out of all that debt. I realized that early on, and I was like, that's not really the life that I want to live, and that's not a life that anybody should live. Yeah. I think that we should be able to see beyond that and see past that.
I just knew like for me in college, like all these people like thinking like, oh, I just want to have fun, I just want to party, get lit on the weekends. Like I knew that after college, everybody was gonna, for the most part, either not be satisfied with their life, hate their life in terms of like having a 9-to-5 or a corporate job. And so I knew like if I put in the work now while everybody's having fun, then eventually the tables are gonna turn and I'm gonna have so much fun after college, living a life where I could do basically whatever, making money online, versus having to work like 40 hours a week on a 9-to-5 with a job I don't even like. So
it's very true, man. You just came back from Bali. You were gone for about a month, chilling with the lady.
Yes, sir.
Renzo's got a girlfriend. He's been in a happy relationship for about 2 years now. Let's hear more about that. How's managing a relationship while making $100K a month?
It's been really easy, actually. I think for me, after my last relationship about 4-ish years ago, I told myself like I'm not gonna have a girlfriend unless she's in the game with me. Like I saw Alex Hormozi had his Layla Hormozi. They're both starting a business together. Now I wouldn't never start a business with my girlfriend just because like I would want that life to be separate. But we're both content creators, so it's really cool because that's pretty much all I think about all day, every day, is making the right content, growing my business forward. And my girlfriend Allison, she is pretty much the exact same way. She's a YouTuber, just hit 90K subs, starting her own school community too. So it's been really good. I think just like when you're aligned on your mission and your values and your goals, it's pretty easy to have a relationship while still grinding at the same time.
Yeah. So I remember you had a girl in college. Obviously you're in a happier relationship right now. Probably gonna get married soon. But how would you say success changed your perspective on dating or relationship in general?
I think I used to be scared of gold diggers or, oh, does this girl only like me for my money or whatever.
That's my biggest fear.
Yeah. I think that's a common fear of all entrepreneurs. But I think I saw somewhere a random video. It's like, you want a girl that likes you for your characteristics and your traits. So yeah, a lot of girls like the money, but even if you do have money, does she like you just because of the assets or because of the skills and the ability that you have that got you those assets? So for me, like I 100% know like my girl likes me because, you know, I'm disciplined enough. You know, I'm a provider. I put in the work necessary to be able to make money like this. So I think it's just also just, is your girl like asking you to pay for everything? Is your girl like saying like, oh, could I call you an Uber? You might have some experience with that. Just kidding. It's just like the intentions. I remember when me and my girl had our first date, she was like, you want to split the bill? Like I could take care of this. I'm like, hell no, like I'm taking care of it. But it's the thought that counts in terms of just even offering. So I think it's little things like that. Do they expect you to pay or do they offer even though they want you to pay?
Yeah, all my experience has just been expectations, bro. Expectations on expectations. Hopefully one day I'm in a happy relationship like
I think,
you.
bro, you have one relationship so far. You'll learn as you keep dating that there are better girls and good girls out there. You just kind of have to keep looking until you find a good one.
That's very true. Fingers crossed, brother.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. If you're watching this right now,
Hey,
drop
he's
me a
single
prayer
right
in the
now.
comments.
When you're watching this, he's single, so he already has tons of DMs. But slide into his DMs anyway. You might.
Nah, bro,
you might have a couple.
that's not how I'm gonna find my wife. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and I was like, Mom, I just want a good girl. And she was like, you're not gonna find him on Instagram. You're not gonna find him in your DMs. I was like, you know what? You're right. You're
Hey,
right.
Alex Ramosi found his girl on Bumble. I found my girl on Hinge. So you never know.
Maybe that's
Just,
the method.
just somewhere online.
Maybe
but
that's
not
the
Instagram.
method. Let's talk a little bit about pressure and what it takes to push through all the problems that we've been through, because we've been through so much together over the past few years, and it literally never goes away. It's constant pressure. For me personally, I always have to put a smile on my face because at the end of the day, we have a massive team, and everybody on our team looks up to us. So if we show any sign of weakness, then it's going to kind of play into how they perform. And that's the last thing I would ever want.
Yeah.
It's like, even if I go through the worst day ever and we have like a leadership call, I'm not going to show them any sign of weakness. I'm not going to tell them I had the worst day ever. And that's kind of just how you have to roll. It's kind of how you have to operate, I feel like.
Yeah, like we make it a priority to pay ourselves personally. So pretty much like our business bank account, not like completely gets empty, but like a good majority gets emptied every month. And so I remember like sometimes like when we would empty it out and let's say we have like a slower week or a slower 2 weeks, then I'm like looking at our expenses and I'm like, damn, like how are we gonna make this work? Like, I don't know if we'll be able to cover this. But I think in entrepreneurship, you have to have this undying faith. Even if there's no proof or evidence that this is gonna work, like you gotta 100% believe that you're gonna do whatever it takes and this will work no matter what. Anytime we're backs against the wall and like we have to make this work or we have to make, example, 20, 25K this week or we're screwed, we always somehow make it work because I think me and you both do a good job at this. Like, kind of like you said, you're never like completely stressed to the point where you can't function. You're able to perform under pressure. Same with me. And then we both take full ownership of our situation. Like we don't blame the economy or the market or the algorithm or anything of that shit. Like anytime we're slacking or we're not doing well, we always look at ourselves and we're always like, what is the problem? Like, what is holding us back and how can we fix this?
Yeah, that's very true. Always got to put on a strong face and never show any sign of weakness to team members, just so that they could follow your lead and trust that you're able to lead them in the right direction. Let's talk a little bit about burnout. So that's something that most people face. A lot of people, when they have all this pressure, they're trying to get a business off the ground, lead a team, deal with 10, 20, 30 clients, they kind of get burnt out.
Yeah.
How do you kind of get around that?
I think I was burnt out low-key back in March, April-ish. So to put this in perspective, I was vlogging every day on YouTube, and I was posting a day in the life on Instagram, and I don't know if anybody tried vlogging before. That shit's ass, not gonna lie. You have to film yourself like every 5-10 minutes just doing random stuff. And at least for me, like, I think burnout happens when you're putting in all this work and you don't get the reward you're looking for. So example, like my views were starting to plateau around like 1K a video. And I'm like, why am I putting in all this work for like barely any leads, barely any money, barely any views? So I think sometimes if you're putting in all this work and you're not getting the results you're looking for, like sometimes you have to push through, but other times maybe you have to take a step back and relook at your strategy of, are you putting in too much work without enough leverage? And so for me now, totally weird topic of YouTube, but I only post once a week now. And now my videos are getting like 5, usually 10K plus now. All because I took a step back and redid my strategy. So maybe it's not more about pushing through, but how can you get better leverage so that you don't have to work as hard and get a better result?
Very good points. Now, for the people watching, you probably know that we already have 3 companies together: Drop Service, the Founders Club Group, and Growthology Agency. And there's obviously a big workload behind all that. How do you kind of structure your day to balance everything and make sure that you're on top of everything?
The best way I could describe this, there's like 4 buckets of action items to do. So there's important and urgent, important, not urgent, not important, urgent, and not important, not urgent. So I'm gonna ask you, there's no right or wrong answer to this, but what do you think is like the first thing you should do out of those 4 categories?
The most important, urgent thing.
So that's what I thought too. But at least for me, what I found that works the best is doing like important but not urgent tasks first. So example for me, that's like getting my workout in first thing in the morning, taking a cold shower, doing my copywriting and speaking routine, working on my skills, listening to a book or a podcast for like an hour. So I get all my personal development and all my routines done first thing in the morning. And so by that point, like it's around like 12, 1 p.m. And then I get started on my actual real work. And because I already did everything I needed to do personally, like I'm a lot more confident in terms of getting all the urgent tasks done later on in the day. So I think it's just a matter of focusing on all the long-term stuff first thing in the morning, so that you're constantly on point. And then you're gonna always finish, like, I see urgent tasks as air, right? Air will take up as much space in the room that you allow it. So example, if you're cramming for a project, then you're gonna finish it that night no matter what. So you might as well just shorten the time you need to do all the tasks you need for the day and focus more on building yourself up and building your skills so that you could dominate for the long term.
That's true. Also want to bring up that Renzo and I, we work on different parts of the business.
Yeah.
So for me, in the tech company, the marketing agency, I'll take care of a lot of the fulfillment side of things. I'm more in touch with our fulfillment director. I make sure that all the orders are getting processed the right way, all the clients are happy, they're satisfied. And then on the software side, I'm taking care of all the development. So obviously, like if there's a tech problem that comes in and people are creating a bunch of tickets, I'm the first one that gets notified because my support staff will hit me up and they'll be like, Ibrahim, we need this sorted. So I'm on top of that like that. And then Renzo takes care of all the marketing, all the leads, a lot of the automations, a lot of the systems. You could kind of elaborate on that.
I think going back to what I talked about like first in this podcast, the reason why we've been such good business partners is we're kind of like yin and yang. Like we work on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Like for me, I hate meetings, okay? I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to a lot of people. I would rather like be locked in, deep working and not be distracted. So I don't even check my phone for like the first like 5-6 hours of the day. Ibby's the exact opposite. Ibby's on calls all day, every day. He's checking his Slack messages, text messages, always on point, responds to team members ASAP. And I think that's why it works so well, is that, you know, my strengths are his weaknesses, his strengths are my weaknesses. And even in our stories, right? Like I was a smart ass student, failed a couple classes. It's okay. You admit that yourself.
I'm so smart, kid. I just failed some classes, bro. Time is hard as fuck. Bio is hard as fuck. And calculus is hard as shit, bro. Come on now.
Ibby's actually smart, just not in like the science topics. But what I was saying is that we have different strengths and weaknesses, and that's why we work so well. So I feel like as business partners, the only way you're gonna last as much as we've had is that you have to work on different things, don't overlap each other. Don't get me wrong, we're both content creators, we both generate leads for the company, but we do so in different ways and we work on different things. But going back to your question about like systems and automations, I think I was a computer science kid, right? Like I'm a very logical, coding-minded person. So when I saw like Go High Level or Zapier or all these automation softwares, like you don't actually have to code. So like it was pretty easy. It's like coding without touching a single like piece of software.
Yeah, Renzo's the type of dude to sit on his laptop and just work on some automation or some streamlined process for like 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I cannot do that because I cannot sit on my laptop for 6 hours straight trying to sort out some, like, for example, he just made an AI custom coded an artificial intelligence bot after what it took like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then he showed me the roadmap of everything, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, bro? I'm gonna just sell this."
It's simple. Just follow the roadmap right here.
Made absolutely no sense to me. But that's also why our business partnership works so well, because obviously he's gonna handle that, and then I'm gonna handle just making sure that clients get that process that he built out.
Yeah.
And a lot of business partnerships fail because they both excel at the same thing, and there's no balance. Everybody I've talked to, they're like, "Oh yeah, like I'm really good at sales. My business partner's really good at sales." I'm like, okay, who's taking care of the marketing? Who's taking care of the fulfillment? Who's taking care of the client success? Who's taking care of automating everything? Who's taking care of systemizing everything? Yeah. They're like, I don't know, but we're both really good at sales. And that's why that business tends to fall apart after 6 months to a year, because you realize that you're not in the healthiest partnership. And the other thing that I want to mention is if there is a problem, anytime we confront it right away.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not too many problems. Like, luckily, Renzo's super chill, I'm super chill. But just being frank, like, there's been times where there's been issues or disagreements. And the thing about us is we're not like fucking girls. We're not going to sit around and cry about it and be like, text someone else and be like, fuck this guy. Like, he's being stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. If he does something I don't like, I'm going to tell him, like, hey, bro, like, can we talk about this? I don't really like how you did this, or I don't really like your train of thought. And if I do something he doesn't like, it's happened both ways, he'll be like, yo, like, let's talk about this. And then the way we kind of just sort that out is I talk for 2 minutes, he talks for 2 minutes, we talk together, come to a conclusion, solve it, and then just water under the bridge, never talk about it again, and then just kind of move on once we come to a solution.
Yeah, we both hate resentment, so we would rather just tell each other straight up than, not say anything, and then a couple of days, a couple of weeks go by, and we're like, I fucking hate this kid. Like, this guy doesn't do this, or he's not putting in this work over here.
Yeah, and it's also crazy because, like, we spend so much time together. It's insane. We've lived together for 3 years. We traveled together. Obviously, like, if he's going on a trip with his girl, then it's just them two. I don't have a girl, so I'm just going on trips with my boys. I was on like a 6-month travel spree, and I was just like kind of rolling around with my squad. That was super fun. Like, but for the most part, like, we're here together, just like grinding it out. But we have different schedules. We have different things that we sort out. We take care of different things, and it just like comes together so well.
Yeah, totally off topic, but like when you ask our friends, we're usually not together. So my friends are like, "Where's Ibby?" I'm like, I honestly don't know where he is. He has his own schedule. Same with Ibby. When people ask Ibby where I'm at, Ibby doesn't know.
I have no idea.
I think that's how we're able to, stay together for so long. It's like you don't want to be all day, every day with each other. Like you get
like attached to the hip.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about living together with your business partner is that if there is ever a problem, and inevitably problems are going to come up all the time, you can just knock on your business partner's door and be like, yo, let's sort this out.
Yeah.
Or if we want to shoot content, just be like, yo, let's film at like 9 p.m., knock it out. And Renzo also takes care of all my content stuff for me too.
Yeah.
Because we got 2 FX3s. Yeah. We have like a $15,000 camera setup. I have no idea how to use the cameras.
Yeah,
I'm not a camera
I'd
guy.
take care of all of it. But going back to like the whole boundary thing, or at least confronting each other, like I was like a super shy, introverted kid, I mentioned that before. So sometimes back in the day, even before we met, like sometimes I would have a hard time speaking up, being like, yo, like I got a problem with this, because like I would feel bad telling the other person. Like I would feel like they would feel down on themselves. But again, what I realized is like if you don't tell them, they would just rather you tell them, and they would respect you more if you did.
The cool thing is like I also like don't take anything personally. Yeah. So like, it could be like the smallest thing. Like I know like we have a cleaning lady, but sometimes if she's on vacation and I'm getting lazy, I'll leave like a dish in the sink. Renzo will be like, bro, put your dish away.
Hey, bro.
I'll be like, I got you, dog. I got you. I'm going to call Laura, tell her to come back and clean the crib real quick. But we pay her so much money. She's traveling every week or two, man. She's barely here now.
Shout out Laura.
Shout out Laura if you're watching the pod.
Yeah, let's talk about like some of our yin and yang differences. I already mentioned a couple. Like I was a good ass student. You were just not that good in science. Everything else was good.
Yeah. You always say you're an introvert.
Yeah.
I think like you obviously know how to carry yourself when you're out in public, but for the most part, you like keeping to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm completely the opposite. I love being around people. I love meeting new people. I'm extroverted as they come. And if there's an opportunity to talk to somebody, I'm gonna jump at it.
Yeah, bro, this guy's on calls all day, every day. From the second he wakes up at 9 a.m., bro, I'll hear like a phone call. I'm like, damn, this guy brushed his teeth and gets right on a call with somebody.
I'm still trying to figure out if this is a good thing or bad thing. But me personally, I just hate being alone.
Yeah.
So like if there's ever like a time where I'm not working and like I'm by myself and like have nothing going on, I'll either call someone and try to fix a problem or just call a friend and just like kind of get my mind off being alone.
Yeah, chop it up.
Yeah. So that's kind of just like how my personality type is.
Yeah.
I don't really like just being in my own room by myself unless I'm occupied with something.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty courageous to speak up about that on a podcast like this.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to admit that, but that's cool. That's cool. For me, it's like the exact opposite. Like, dude, I could be alone for a long time and I'll be like, just good with myself. So
It's something I'm still trying to work on. You see, like, everybody thinks that, like, once you make $1 million or like $5 million, that like everything's all said and done and perfect and life's amazing. But I still have problems that like other people have no idea about. And I think that's why it's a good idea to like have podcast episodes like this.
Yeah.
And release them to people that are trying to grow a business or already have a business so that they know that like we're still human. Like we still face the same issues that everybody else faces. You might just not see it. Because don't get me wrong, our life's amazing. Like Renzo and I talked about this the other day. Like we are so grateful for the life that we have, the team that we have, all the companies that we have. But there's still stuff that goes on behind the scenes that like we're trying to work through mentally, physically, emotionally. And those are all like important things to spend time on, which is kind of why Renzo said like in the morning, like you want to focus on like your morning routine, your affirmations, like journaling, prayer. Those are all super important things that people kind of sleep on. When you're chasing a bag, like sure, you're going to want to get to work and get everything done, but you got to build up those little habits and your mental mindset to be able to manage everything and perform at the highest level possible.
I would say that was the biggest thing that helped me the past couple months is I was listening to a lot of Hermosi, and Hermosi's like, just wake up, drink some coffee, and get right to work. And so I would do that for a little bit, but I would find like my mental confidence and like mental health started to deteriorate a little bit because I'm like, I don't want to be like working like this for the rest of my life. This shit's kind of ass, not gonna lie. But when I'm able to wake up, get a walk outside in the morning or work out, listen to a good podcast or work on like my speaking skills or my copywriting skills or just like working on myself personally, then after like an hour or two, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Like I feel like king of the world, like, the classic, I'm him. I think that way, and now I'm able to get to work properly without sacrificing my mental health.
Yeah, no, it's something super important. A lot of people obviously just want to get rich, but in order to get rich and stay rich, you got to make sure that you're taking care of everything else. So like your faith, your mindset, your body, your mental health, your physical health, what you eat, who you surround yourself with, your circle. All those things have to be 10 out of 10. And once all that's kind of sorted, then it's going to be a lot easier to make money, perform at the highest level possible, be a good leader, be a good example, and people are going to want to be surrounded by you, and they're going to want to be around you and be a part of your life.
Dude, I feel like it's hard to think on the spot when you have like 3 cameras just
in your
pointing
face,
on you,
bro.
plus the lighting setup. I'm like, damn, this is kind of hard. So yeah, you're talking a lot about like spirituality and just being good mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So what's it kind of like being a diehard Muslim, being business partners and roommates with a diehard Christian?
So for me, I don't really see the two religions as too different because a little more deep into spirituality, the Abrahamic religions are Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and they're all kind of founded similarly, and they have like the same prophets. They're just called like different names, like Prophet Ibrahim, that's who I'm named after. Like him as Prophet Abraham in the Bible. So very similar beliefs. Obviously, there's certain things that like I don't do that other people do. For example, like premarital sex or drinking or like sometimes I go out and party, but within moderation. But I don't really see it as anything too bad. Honestly, I'm glad that you're a man of faith, and it also helps me stay grounded too, because for me, my day of service is on Friday during my prayer. I'm trying my best to go there every Friday. Obviously, I'm not perfect, so I don't always go there, but every Sunday, for the most part, I see Renzo waking up for church. So when I see him waking up for church, I'm like, holy shit, I have no reason not to wake up early on Friday and go to the mosque and get my service in. So I honestly see it as a good thing. It kind of holds me accountable.
And even though both religions branched off eventually, like they all came from the same origin source. And I think we both have a lot of similar core values. And even if the values are like slightly different, like the principle behind those values are always around the same, like just having full faith in God and just doing all the right things so that,
Yeah, it's
God will
very
be able
true.
to
Just
treat you.
being a good person, don't cut corners, be moral, be ethical,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, like all you really have is your character and your good deeds. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how you're going to be remembered, how the type of person you were and like your morals, your values, and what you give to this world. And then for me personally, like obviously I believe in the afterlife, so like heaven or hell. So if you're a good person, you're going to go to heaven. If you're a bad person, then you're going to have to pay the price. And at the end of the day, God sees everything that you do. So even like obviously we live with cameras in our face, we're always out in public, but behind closed doors, like you still got to be a good person, because even if you don't think anybody sees you, like let's say you're cutting someone a business deal, regardless of like whether or not they're on board, and in the back of your mind you know it's unethical, you still shouldn't do it because God sees that.
Yeah.
So I think it also plays a role in our business too, because I don't want to say like we're fully like faith driven because we're not like a Christian or Muslim company, but we have those same values where we are kind of faith driven.
Yeah.
And like we follow everything by the book.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of like the difference between like Christians and Muslims, are you gonna have multiple wives? Because technically you can.
Technically I can, maybe I will. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding. I don't believe in that. I think back in the day it was permissible because there were a lot of I don't know, I think something to do with just like, I'm not too well versed in this stuff, but
Gotcha.
I think it was something to do with just like maintaining land, having a big family, building wealth that way, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure, but for me, no. I want one girl, and I want to give her the world.
All right,
And
you heard him, ladies. He's a one-girl man. He'll be loyal to you.
I love to love, man. I love to love, and I cannot give everything to 2, 3, 4 different people. I think that's a little too much work. One girl's too much, bro.
Got you. Going a little bit off topic, but is there something you believe that you would say not a lot of people believe, or that's pretty different from what everybody else thinks?
I think that a lot of people just don't believe that they're capable of living this life or capable of being successful or even making their first $1 million. Like we made our first $1 million at 22 years old. And I was a normal ass fucking kid, bro.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with someone this morning and they were like, you are the only person to do it from our community, like from back home where I grew up. And because they were calling me, asking me for advice on like how to get started and do something similar to what I'm doing with starting their agency. And he was like, it took me a long time to reach out because like I didn't know how you'd be like receptive to it. But obviously like I saw that he was genuine, he was a hard worker. He hit me up a few times, so he was serious about it, and he was also like a friend of somebody I was extremely close with. So I hopped on that call, and he was telling me like, I've been following your journey from the start, and it's crazy to see everything you've done. And I was just a normal dude, bro. I was working at a coffee shop at like 17 years old. I was working a retail job at 18 years old. I was driving DoorDash at 19 years old. And even though like I went through all that BS with like people not believing in me and like being forced to pursue a major I didn't enjoy, I still made it out, and I still made it to this level. And I always say like we're just a drop in the bucket from where we're gonna be, but it's just such an amazing feeling to see like everything pay off just because I believed in myself when nobody else did. And it's definitely one of the hardest things to go through when like you feel isolated and you're in your room and like the only thing that you have is your pillow to hug at night.
Right.
And just like that's the only person you kind of put everything, not even person, just thing, just like feel something, just literally just me hugging my pillow at like 2 a.m. just like crying, wishing that somebody would like support me.
Yeah.
And even though I went through all that like mental battles and all these like personal struggles, just trying to get everything off the ground, we still pushed through and we still made it past that. And I think a lot of people just don't have that mental capacity to think that they're capable of doing it. But if you're watching this, you definitely are. It's I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's a consistency game. The more work you put in, the more successful you will be. And a lot of people will say like, all right, can I put in 1 to 2 hours a day? Sure, you could put in 1 to 2 hours a day, but it's probably gonna take you 2, 3 years. But you also have 24 hours in a day. You could put 12 to 14 hours in a day, and it could take you probably like 1 to 2 months to make your first couple $1,000s online, maybe even 10K online. It's literally just a consistency game, and it comes down to how bad you truly want it.
I'd say for me, controversial take. I think something I've realized like the past couple months is, you know how like a lot of people making money online, or people balling are like super confident. They think they're like him, like yo, like I'm like the big shit. I kind of realized like where that is coming from. Like now that we're making a whole lot of money online, like I'm definitely not saying we're better than anybody by any means. Like I know like every person is equal in their own right, and I've done a lot of internal work to realize that too. But what I have realized is when you do make a lot of money, it's not the money itself that makes you confident. It's knowing that you did all the right work and you put in all this grind and sacrifice that other people haven't, to the point where when you do walk in a room with other people, like you're confident as hell because you know you did all the shit necessary to be there.
That's true. Something a lot of people say about me is like, not in a bad way, but they notice exactly how confident I am.
Yeah.
But it's like in a good way, where confidence isn't a bad thing. I'm kind of just like commanding the room.
Yeah.
I demand respect. People listen to me, and people love like or enjoy talking to me. And the conversation's always fluid. It's good. It's upbeat. And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I wasn't able to do that before.
Yeah.
I was this shy kid. I always had my head down. I was in the back of the class with my arms closed, and I like didn't really put myself out there. But going through this entire experience, the past 5 years, building up 3 companies, making multiples of millions of dollars, and like leading a team, building a team, it was all trial and error.
Yeah.
Like we hired people, sometimes it didn't work out. We had to have that conversation. We fired them. We found someone better. We signed a bunch of clients. Some absolutely crushed it. Sometimes like you lose a client, and like those are all things that teach you these massive lessons. And throughout every single trial and error that you go through, like it makes you such a stronger, much stronger person. And then it's crazy because like fast forward 5-6 years from when we were 19 years old, we're completely different people.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because like there's people that I grew up with when I was like in high school or even middle school that will DM me and they'll be like, I don't want to say like hating, but they're just like, wow, you seem like completely different from when you were in high school. Like, why are you acting like that? And I'm like, listen, man, first off, I haven't talked to these guys in like 8 years.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I am a completely different person because of everything I went through, because of everything I experienced, because of all the shit that I went through and every single lesson I learned. I came out so much stronger and I learned so many lessons. And that's why I'm grateful for it. So even if bad stuff happens right now, thankfully we're going through a really big high right now and we're having a really good fucking month.
Yeah.
But let's say like something bad happens next month, God forbid, I'm going to be grateful for it because I know that I'm going to learn such a strong lesson and it's going to make my stress tolerance a lot higher. It's going to make me come out a much stronger person.
Right.
And that's the mindset that I have. I don't ever like dwell on these things and I'm like, fuck, why is this happening to me? I think that it's happening for me to make me a stronger person.
Yeah, I know there's a whole like switching up on your day ones meme, but I think the reason that happens is because like if you're on a different path from your day ones, eventually you're going to grow apart so much that the only thing you can really talk about is the past. And when you're always caught up in the past, there's not that much connection and there's not as much enjoyment hanging out with each other.
Yeah, and just being truthful, I honestly don't even talk to the kids that were my best friends in high school or college. I talked to 2 people I went to college with. Everybody else, I don't want to say cut off, but I just like don't really resonate with them anymore. And every time I do see them, they're either just out partying or kind of just like talking about bullshit that I don't really care about.
Yeah.
And they don't really understand like where I'm at or a lot of the things that I experienced or that I go through. And the conversations are just a lot different. That's why like I don't want to say like cut off your day ones and surround yourself with people that like are extremely successful, which is like I think if your day ones are real and genuine, then keep them around. But like, put yourself in rooms where you feel like you resonate with people. So like Renzo, I could talk about anything casually. Like, we just made like 11 grand the other day. Like I could tell him that, or like any of my other friends in Chicago that. They'll be like, oh, that's sick. Like I just made like 12 grand, or I just made like 9 grand, or it's a little bit slow. I made 4 grand today. But if I go back home and have that conversation, they're just gonna think that like I'm bragging or something, which isn't the case. It's just like kind of the rooms that you put yourself in.
And going off like what you said, like 11 grand in a day or 20 grand in a day, whatever it is, kind of a hot take, but I know me and you have different experience with this, but at least for me, totally off topic from switching from day ones, but I find like when I'm talking about money with other entrepreneurs, there's like 2 types of people. There's people that like are so happy for you and like support you and like, dude, that's fucking amazing, like great job. And then there's people that are like, dude, good job. And then secretly they're like low-key kind of jealous of you or like low-key trying to compete with you.
For me, that was kind of just like an example, but I don't actually do that. I'm not going to say
that just reminded me of like a trauma I have.
I never actually go up to someone and be like, yo, I made 11 grand today.
No, we tell that to each other.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
make it together. But we're not just going to go to random entrepreneurs and be like, yeah, I made like 20K today.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, a lot of people are kind of arrogant about a lot of the stuff that they
Yeah.
have. But if you're just confident in what you have, you don't really care to flex on people. You don't really care to like say anything to anybody else, and
Yeah.
you don't really want to lift yourself up on a pedestal. For me, I feel like I'm just happy with everything I have, and there's nothing I really need to prove to anybody. The only person I need to prove anything to is myself.
Right.
So the way I do that is just by waking up every single day and doing everything I told myself that I was going to do for that day.
And I think that's very important. Like, I was actually teaching our inner circle students last Monday, like, literally, the confidence you have isn't really about having a nice watch or a car or anything like that. It's just knowing that you've done everything you said you would consistently. So, like, anytime, like, I tell you to do something, you do it. Anytime you tell me to do something, I do it. And anytime, like, we tell ourselves what to do, like, we always do it no matter what. Because we know that confidence builds everything.
That's very true. Even today, we just had dinner at Gibson's and dropped a bag on some steaks. I think we got like 4 or 5 steaks, and then went to another restaurant after, and then got more food over there. We were tired as hell. We were like, I'm exhausted. But we said we were gonna film this episode tonight, so we're here filming this episode. We locked in.
Exactly.
And we kind of just do that with everything. Obviously, that was kind of a silly example, but even if it's like 1 or 2 a.m. and something comes up, we're gonna sort it out and get the job done. Yeah, so obviously we stay super accountable in Chicago. How often do you go back home to Virginia?
I've actually been going home like once a month the past like couple of months, not gonna lie, for my birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day. I think just moving back or moving to Chicago away from my hometown, you kind of realize like how little time you actually spend with your parents once you move out.
That's true. How do your parents feel about everything that you're doing?
At first, they were just kind of confused because I had a Microsoft internship lined up. I pretty much had like the dream parent career, right? Like that's something they're super proud of. And I was basically just going on a different path, trying to start a business at the same time. But I think what really locked in the deal was, you know, I showed them my Stripe. I showed them how much I was making with our agency at the time. And I showed them like my paychecks from Microsoft. And it was just like a logical decision. I was making more already with the business that they let me drop because I was already making more money. So you kind of have to have proof of concept for your parents to believe in you. And now they watch all my YouTube videos, they watch all my Instagram stories, and you know, I can't even tell you the amount of times like my dad or my mom are like, "Oh my God, I just watched your TikTok live or your Instagram live. Like, you're such a great speaker, so proud of you." But it wasn't always like that. It's because I built that proof of concept for them to see.
Yeah, kind of same thing. When I first started, family was just kind of concerned about the path that I was going. But obviously now, fast forward 4 or 5 years, they're extremely proud, extremely happy. My siblings tell me all the time. My mom tells me all the time. Even my dad, he came around, he tells me all the time how proud he is of everything that I'm doing. So obviously it's a good feeling. I had to go through some shit for the first year.
Yeah.
But as long as you push through, you kind of make it through the other side.
Dude, how was that? Like, you didn't say this, but your entire family, or not entire family, like all your brothers and sisters are doctors, right? They all went in the medical field.
Correct.
So how does
My sister's a doctor. My other brother is in med school, and my older brother is a doctor of dental surgery. And I'm the last kid in my family, the youngest kid.
So how does it feel being like the one sibling going the entrepreneurship route, while all your other brothers and sisters are going like the classic? I don't know if this is racist, but the classic like Indian.
No, that's true.
Be a
That's
doctor.
true. So it sucked at first because they were pushing me so hard to do something I wasn't passionate about, and I just didn't want to live my life living someone else's wishes for me. And I knew that when I was 50, 60 years old, I'm gonna have to live with the decisions that I make. So I want to make my own decisions. I don't want someone else to make my decisions for me. And I realized that when I was like 18 years old. So that's why I switched my major early on. But obviously, I knew that my family had my best interest in mind, but they just didn't know the path that I needed to take to get to where I wanted to be. Times have changed. We're living in the digital space. COVID kind of proved that. AI is blowing up right now. People are finally seeing what the world's coming to. And it's not like how it used to be when my parents were going to school. Back then, 100%. You go to school, you get a degree, you go to grad school, you get your degree there, you get an amazing job, you live your life happy. Right now, things are so different. There's so much opportunity, and there's so much that you could capitalize on if you actually like take a step outside the status quo and realize what's out there. There's an insane amount of opportunities. whether it's in sales, marketing, e-commerce, investing. Obviously, we're pro marketing. I think that's the best way to go, the best path to go. But everybody's different. You just got to find what's passionate for you. If you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or surgeon, 100% go to school, get your degree, get your bag, do your thing, as long as you're happy. But it just like wasn't fulfilling for me. Early on, like I failed 3 classes, and I just like, it's because I did not, to be frank, I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And now that I'm pursuing something I actually care about, I care so much, I cannot sleep unless I do everything that I know I need to do. And that's the mindset that you have to have. Like, I know it's cliche, but a lot of people say like you want to fall in love with what you're doing. I genuinely love what I do so much, I would not change it for the world. And it makes me so happy. Like working with clients, talking to these people every single day, like consulting with our agency students. Like that stuff is so fulfilling. We just had a client hit 130K a month. Another one hit 150K a month. A 17-year-old make like his first $5,000 per month online. And just like seeing these people go from like A to Z is just one of the best feelings in the world. And then on top of that, just like working with other businesses and seeing where they're at, and then them utilizing your service and then helping them blow up their brand and seeing how it's changed their life is such a great feeling. I don't want to drop any names because we have like NDAs, but like we have this one female client. She started working with us like 2 years ago, and last year she was like, oh my gosh, like I quit my full-time job. My husband doesn't have to work anymore. We're able to travel because her husband was in the military. And that was just one of the best feelings in the world. And we got a client interview, great testimonial, and that's the stuff that just like keeps me going and keeps me driven. And I'm just so blessed and so grateful. I wouldn't change any of this stuff for anything else.
Yeah, for sure. So 2 points about that. So when we say like fall in love with the process and like we love everything we do, now don't get me wrong, there is some shit that we fucking hate. Like, I don't know about you, support tickets, probably not the most fun thing in the world,
sucks.
right?
I also don't deal with that. Shout out David, he takes care of all that stuff. Not to cut you off, but just to add on, like if there's stuff you don't like doing, fucking outsource it. Don't do it yourself, because you're wasting your time where you could actually think on how to grow the business, and you don't want to waste your time working in the business on bullshit stuff like support tickets or something you could pay someone else to solve for you.
Yeah, exactly. Or example, even like last night, we were both tired as hell, but we said we were going to film YouTube videos, so we knocked it out, even though we were tired. So some things you're not going to want to do, but in the macro, like the total package, and especially like the result and the outcome, like example, the lives and all the clients we're able to help, like that's what drives us and that's what we love. But you know, sometimes in the micro, there's like certain things or that you might not want to do or outsource, but you still got to do it to get the vision done.
I mean, the cool thing about running your own business and like being the guys at the top is you kind of control the workflow. So if you're good at something, if you love doing something, then that's what you're going to focus on. So like even like the team calls, like I lead most of the team calls because I love doing that stuff. Kind of like what we said earlier. I love talking to people. I love communicating with people. And I actually give a fuck about everybody that works for me. So a lot of people, they don't care enough to like get to know people. Like I've got team members that will call me if they're going through like shit personally, and I will be there for them. And that's how like you show people that you care. And when you're there for them like that, why would they ever want to leave you? Why would they ever want to be disloyal to you? And obviously like you just want to have a strong bond so that you keep everybody together. And trust is also a big thing. I trust every single person on my team, and we just put the right people in the right seats. And that's why we were able to scale at such a fast pace.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is like a lot of people we hire, they're actually better than us at like their respective
100%
area.
they're better than us.
Yeah, like our sales manager probably closes probably twice as good as me or you combined. Like he's goated. Let's see, our DM team at the time before we fired them for our AI bot, but long story short, we have an AI setter now. But at the time, like our DM team was like, they were doing some DM sorcery in the DMs, like being able to close, you know, mid-ticket deals like every single day without having to hop on the phone. So I think kind of weird off topic, but when we are hiring, the reason why we're able to do what we love, while everybody else does stuff that we don't like to do, is because they're the best and they're the most passionate at that thing that we don't like. So
100%.
They're able to think on their own, and they don't have to ask us on how to do all that.
Yeah, but the cool thing about that is even when we started out, we were kind of wearing all the hats. So we were doing literally every single thing. So we learned basically how to do most of these things. It's just like you got to go through the trenches, learn from your mistakes, and then learn exactly how everything works. And then once you learn how everything works, you could hire better talent, and then they'll be able to kind of take care of everything else for you. So like even like we have a head of support now. And one of our other businesses, I was kind of managing all the support stuff.
Bro, he would get a notification at like 4 or 5 a.m. and he would handle it that morning because he was like, oh, I don't want to have the client wait, so I'm going to just get up and handle this.
Yeah, we'd literally be out like partying. Not that I party that much.
Yeah.
But
this was back in college, 2021. We had a client blasting his phone at like 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. And I'm eating like my milkshake going out with my boys, and if he's like, yo, dude, help me with this. And that's just how much we cared back then. And don't get me wrong, we still care now, but now we have
people that sort it out for us, yeah. But my point here is that you got to learn the skill, and then you can hire people to kind of take care of that for you. Yeah. And once you do that, you're able to focus on the bigger picture. So I always say you want to work on the business, not in it. When you're working in the business, you're working on all the nitty-gritty stuff and the stuff that doesn't move the business forward. If I really think about it, most of my day outside of like all my meetings, all my calls, and like all my consultations is literally just thinking about how could I make our business grow. Yeah. It's just brainstorming, sitting down, thinking about the bigger picture. And that's kind of the mindset that you have to have at like a C-level executive point or perspective. How can I grow this business? How can I make it better? How can I systemize this? How can I optimize this? And how could I make client fulfillment even more satisfactory?
It really is, for both me, you, and even our third partner for our software company, it really is all about just decision making and coming up with the next genius idea to grow the business forward. Like even this podcast idea, like this might be random, just making a podcast all of a sudden, but it was because I was just thinking, hey, our ads are converting really well right now. Now, how do we get our organic and how do we scale traffic without ads? And I'm like, probably Clippers, right? But you know, I don't vlog anymore. You vlog sometimes. So how do we get consistent content for Clippers to go crazy? So I'm like, I mean, me and Ibby talk about business pretty much all day. Why don't we actually film that and make it fun? So yeah, even this, it's all just another idea that both me and Ibby thought of randomly.
What would you say the hardest part of the job is?
I think just the responsibility. Like we have people's full-time income, like families to feed based off the results that we do. Especially for me as like the main face in terms of generating leads and traffic. Like if I don't do my job properly, then my sales team doesn't have enough leads to eat, and then they're either going to quit or they're not going to have enough money to feed their families. Like our sales manager has a kid, right? I don't know if he has a wife, but I'm pretty sure he does. Like he has a family to feed. So at least for me, in terms of driving traffic, like I have to show up, not just for me, but for everybody else that relies on me. And I think same thing with you. Like if you don't do your job properly, then guess what? Like it's not just you screwed. Like me and our other third partner for our software company is also screwed. So I think it's just a responsibility that it's not just about you anymore. It's about the company and the team as a whole. All relies on each other.
I would say for me, we've kind of solved this problem, but when we started this third business, the hardest thing was just to like, we had so many different teams and so many different divisions, 7 different branches of this business, because like you got fulfillment, marketing, sales, DM team, and like nobody was in sync. So the hardest thing for me, at least at the time, was trying to get everybody in sync and everybody on the same page. Thankfully now, everybody's kind of in a fluid motion. We're working with like a well-oiled machine. But from the start, that was definitely one of the toughest things, just streamlining communication.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing we've been working on the past 1 to 2 months. Like, we've been making $100K a month with this new software company since January. It took us about like 6 months to get there, but this is like literally our third company now that's made $100K a month. And so we kind of got comfortable the next couple months just, you know, hiring new team members or adding new automations just cause, like, why not? Let's try.
Guys, we added so many automations that our automations bill was like over the moon. And then we were like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. So to put this in perspective, like we're starting to finally cut down this month on all the random shit we were just adding on to our credit card and our debit card. But
even our SMS, we had to pay $12,000 for text messages for like 3 weeks, which is absurd. Just because we had so many automations that were useless. But nobody was observant enough at the time to like look back and be like, all right, this was the problem.
I would say like we were all comfortable enough that like, hey, we could just swallow that bill. It doesn't even matter. We don't even have to check the cards and what we're spending. But, you know, even like looking at our bill this past month, like we spent $50K. Like no cap. If you look at our Chase account, it says $50K. And that's just because like we got so comfortable and we're like, don't get me wrong, it's really good to test out new strategies and new ideas. But if you test out too many different things at once, you have all this bloat and all this basically like fat that you got to trim down. So that's something that we've done a really good job literally like the past couple weeks. Like literally every day now we check our credit card, we check our bank account, and we see like what is all the dumb shit that we're spending. Like I know everybody says to have the abundance mindset, just make more money. But why not make more money and also cut down so your profit margins are huge and you pay yourself out a shit ton?
It's not really about what you make, it's about what you keep. Like you could make like $1 million a year, but if you're spending $950,000 a year, then you're only taking home $50K. So I'd rather make $1 million a year and spend like $100K so that I'm taking home $900K, just to give you an example. But yeah, in order to fix that problem, we obviously like had a long talk. And then we were like, we got to take a few steps back, 3-4 steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. That's what we did. We took a few steps back. We were like, all right, let's look at where all our expenses are coming from. SMS, that was like 12 bands for no reason. In our other companies, we were paying like 3 to 4K a month. So we already knew we were overpaying 3x what we normally pay. That should have been something we fixed in like month 1, but it took us like 30 grand to figure that problem out. So that was a $30,000 mistake. It took 3 months. But sorted it out. We're good now.
You know what's crazy? Even though we lowered our bottom line in terms of expenses, like we're hitting like even better top line numbers now.
That's true. It's because because we finally like started analyzing all the data and tracking everything.
Yeah.
Renzo trained one of our VAs to literally go into like all their accounts and just like track everything so that week to week we could see like where every little number in our business is. You can kind of talk more on that.
Yeah. Like I used to hate tracking stats, and you know, even our students inside our inner circle, they hate tracking stats too. But the reason why I push it so hard is like now we're able to make real-time decisions. Like especially like running ads now. I feel like everybody watching this podcast probably knows who Alex Hormozi is. Like Alex Hormozi is coming out with a new book, Money Models, and it's all about like make more money than it costs to acquire a customer. But how do you know how much a customer costs? How do you know how much money you're making off each customer? And so, example, we track 30-day LTV now, like super hard number to calculate with different payment processors, but like how much cash are we collecting per customer the first 30 days, the first 60 days, the first 90 days? And now we know, hey, if we're making this amount of money per customer in 30 days, then we could spend as much on ads as long as it's lower than that cost. And then we could just pay off that credit card because in 30 days we'll have more money than what we paid for that customer. It's like really advanced example, but that's just like one small little detail that you can only do if you actually track it properly.
Big brain moves. That's why Renzo's the one that's good with numbers.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the SMS costs, put this in perspective. We were spending $12K on SMS to book calls. But you know the crazy part? Our calendar was already booked, right? So we're spending $12K on SMS on a calendar that can't even book any more calls.
We literally had like 60 to 100 calls every single day, and we were just wasting money on SMS fees for no reason. And
so once we cut it out, I'm like, okay, how do we book calls without SMS? And I'm like, hey, social media is free. So then I started, focusing more on like booking calls directly from Instagram or directly from YouTube. And guess what? We're making even more money now than having to spend a lot. So I think the other benefit to checking your bank account and checking your cards every day is you kind of see like what is needed and what's not. Like what's driving the business forward and what are you just spending just because like you can. So profit's never been better so far. So I think we've been doing a really good job, and I think we're kind of running over time now. So is there any last questions you want to ask before we wrap up this podcast?
I think we pretty much summed everything up. This was episode 1 of the Founders Club podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first of many. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Whatever you like to see, let us know. We'll make sure to throw that into the next episode. And we really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Renzo_Guevara. Shout yourself out, all platforms.
Pretty much at Renzo_Guevara, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
If you want to check out my personal brand, it's at the Ibrahim Ansari. And until the next one, we will see you in the next podcast. Peace.
Peace.